Welcome to the FormCast.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Bandit, here today for an episode of the FormCast with two of Stunfisk's most valued content contributors. We have Broke, Stupid, Lonely, and Strategic Magic. Say hello.
Hello.
Yo.
So we have had Broke on this show before. Broke, why don't you give us a quick rundown of what you do?
I play Pokemon, mostly VGC, and I moderate Stunfisk, so if you make me mad, I'll ban you.
And Strategic, what about you?
You can call me StratMag if you want. I am an approved submitter on Stunfisk. I play mostly VGC. I'm more of a specialist in 2015 than this year, but I do still play 2016.
All right. So last episode, we all had our impressions of the new Pokemon that were revealed. And it was me, Rennie T, Deebs, and Erevar, and we are all singles players. So all of the commentary on that was from a singles perspective. Both of you guys are VGC and doubles players, so I would love to hear your impressions on the new Pokemon from a double standpoint.
Okay. The first one I want to get into is definitely Mudsdale. Because while I do agree with what you guys said about it in a singles metagame, I don't think it will be quite as strong in VGC. It's quite easy to just hit it with a special move that does 60% of its health twice.
Yeah,
or something along those lines. Maybe a Mega Venusaur or Giga Drain will just destroy it completely. So the defense boost won't really matter quite as much. However, I do see it having a huge role on Terracotta teams, because that gives more options.
Yes.
Do they want to lead Terraki and Whimsicott, or do they want to lead Mudsdale Whimsicott? Because they can pull off the same synergy with Beat-Up.
That's correct. And that's going to take a lot of people by surprise, because everyone can generally see a Terracotta coming. But I think a Mudsdale is going to be a little bit more interesting. Beat it up and boost its defense all the way up. And then you could run, special defensive investment, so you could be a pretty strong tank. I think it really kind of depends on if he gets reliable recovery or not. Because that's generally something a tank like that would need. But like I said, I know that I'm not really a doubles player. I know that stall or defensive Pokemon in general aren't as powerful. But I still think that that's definitely going to be a thing that people try out.
Yeah, it'll depend. Like, if it gets Snarl, especially, then it could be sticking around on the field for a long time, or you could, depending on its stats, maybe throw an Assault Vest on it.
Yeah, that's
it
an interesting idea.
Yeah, I could get behind the Assault Vest, but then I'm the kind of guy that wants Assault Vest everything.
It kind of seems like Game Freak added it to the game as a nod to, Mega Kangaskhan is tearing everything up. How can we neuter it just a little bit? You know, because it's if you switch it on a fake out from Kangaskhan and now you're at +2 defense, the mom's going to have a lot more trouble taking you down.
That's true. It could also have access to Double Kick. Which could potentially be quite big, because then you can take out things like Bisharp.
And Smeargle, right?
Yeah, and Smeargle, depending on its speed. Opposing Terrakion, potentially, as well.
Yeah, it just depends.
Because you can break through the Sash sets.
Yes, that is definitely a good thing.
I don't know. I think it's neat. I don't think it's going to see a lot of play at high levels, though. Just because it's so situational, and any strategy that requires that you attack yourself means you're not doing damage to your opponent, which can quickly become a dead turn. But I think people will certainly try it. I'll probably experiment with it too and just kind of see where we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really about as far as it goes. Although one thing to note is it looks like it's going to be one of those Pokemon that are just standalone, that doesn't have a pre-evolution or evolve into something.
I think that's probably true.
Which then that gives us an idea of the stats. It might be around 450 base stat total.
I actually think that there's a chance it's going to have a pre-evolution. That it's going to be like a Ponyta Rapidash type thing. I know that they revealed just Mudsdale, but I honestly think that it could definitely have some sort of pony pre-evolution. Either way, it's that's not going to change the outcome very much of its stats or viability.
Although, its pre-evolution would then potentially be really strong in Little Cup. Because Eviolite.
That's very true, actually. I do play a significant amount of Little Cup, and that thing will be a terror, especially against all of the U-turning that happens down there. It's going to do really well against stuff like Mindfu, which is super, super common. It's going to be probably a beast in LC if it exists. Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
What's
I'm
the
just looking at the
thing
list.
called that has triage? So
that comfy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I wanted to get into next, because if Mudsdale lacks that reliable recovery, the potential of heal pulse on that with priority could be terrifying.
That is interesting. Priority heal pulse is something. Yeah, that is terrifying. You are
I
very
would
right.
really love to see that in VGC, particularly with something like Mega Kangaskhan because of double edge.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
So your double edge puts you in KO range of the opponent's next turn's attack, and then you mess them over because you've heal pulsed before they attack the following turn, and it has so much potential.
Yeah, I really do like that. I think again it kind of does depend on the stats. If it looks anything like Klefki as defensive wise, I think it's going to do fine in doubles. But there is a chance.
Do we know what type it is?
Sorry.
I think it's pure fairy.
Okay.
Yeah, so it really does depend on its stats a little bit there.
And also it's movable. Like if it doesn't get heal pulse.
That is true. It might not get heal pulse. We know for sure it's going to get some sort of self recovery and aromatherapy, but it's not confirmed whether or not it gets heal pulse.
Pretty much everything learns rest though, so at least in some kind of singles metagame it's going to be really annoying with kind of like a Chesto rest set, and it might even get recycle or harvest because it's made of flowers.
That would be absolutely terrifying. I don't want to have to deal with that.
You mentioned in the last episode about the possibility of Giga Drain.
Yes.
If that gets priority, well, what about the fairy version with 75% healing drain? Draining Kiss.
Draining Kiss.
That would be really strong.
That would be really interesting. Yes.
Especially on like a spec set or
I was just thinking that if you actually do get priority on healing moves and you're a pure fairy type, which is strong by itself, yes, that would be devastating actually against a lot of teams. What about?
I also think.
Oh, sorry. You go ahead.
The way it's worded makes me wonder if it's going to give priority to all healing moves on the field and not just its own. So, like, if you have it out, if your partner gets priority recover or whatever.
Oh God, I hope not.
Just the way they worded it gives the highest priority to healing moves. So it could go either way. I'm inclined to say it's only for itself, but I shudder to think about Game Freak's decision-making process, you know? Like...
Yeah, that'd be horrifying to see.
Yeah. I think the key point here, like the really, really key point here, is how it says the highest priority, which means a possible +7 priority, putting it above things like Sucker Punch and Extreme Speed. So, if you've got something really low, that's going to go down to a Sucker Punch. Now your Heal Pulse, if it gets it, goes first. That's huge in a VGC setting.
Yes.
Because, you know, normally Prankster is just +1, whereas there are moves higher than +1 priority, like Extreme Speed.
If it said highest priority, does that include outspeeding Fake Out?
Possibly, yeah.
Because generally, Fake Out is the highest priority other than stuff like Protect.
And
I think Fake Out.
Fun fact.
Yes, what I'm trying to say is Fake Out is the highest priority damage dealing move. Yeah. So that if it outspeeds Fake Out, that's going to be actually really significant. Other than that, speaking of priority moves, what are your impressions of Bruxish, the dazzling fish Pokemon that stops priority moves?
That is pretty much the definition of a StratMag Pokemon right there. I love Bruxish. It has so much potential. Its typing is good. It's the same typing as my favorite Mega, coincidentally. The ability to stop Kangaskhan in its tracks is fantastic. So much potential for a the Prankster Taunt immune Trick Room setter, which also has huge implications.
Yes, because it's a Psychic type, and that's usually what gets Trick Room, so that is actually very scary.
It's something I thought about, because under Trick Room, just completely blocking all priority, that takes away a lot of teams' answers to Trick Room, so now they can't, like...
Yes.
They're guaranteed to be moving second. The other partner that I thought of, and I shuddered to think about, is putting it next to Scarf Smeargle, because now you can't
Prankster Taunt Smeargle. Yeah.
And so I think just the existence of this thing is really going to bring about more Scarf users next year. Because you'll have to have a way, since you can't just priority revenge kill things, you have to outspeed them.
Yeah, that assumes it doesn't block. That assumes it doesn't block partnering things though, because it might just block stuff targeted at Bruxas specifically. Because in the battle where we were shown the ability in the video, it was a single battle, so you can't tell whether it's a team-wide block or just a targeted block.
That's true, actually. That's actually going to define its position in the meta. That and its stats, whether it actually gets anything decent or not.
If it evolves and gets EVLite, just oh dear.
Oh my god. Or well, then you'd probably just use the evolved version.
Assuming it keeps Dazzle.
I assume it would, because generally Pokemon with unique abilities hang on to those abilities.
Yeah, like Malamar.
Or like Fringard. Oh wait, no, just kidding.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that right now. I'm just remembering now that the what is it? The battery Pokemon that evolves into Vikavolt? Question mark. It gets rid of battery and it gets levitate.
Yeah, Charger Bug.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. And okay, so I guess what I said earlier about it keeping its unique ability isn't necessarily true, but I think probably it will if it evolves.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
Okay. Are there any other Pokemon that particularly stick out for doubles?
The Charge-a-Bug thing, is that the one that gives its
Ally +1 special attack? Yes.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I think that's going to be fun. You throw a sash on it, you don't lead with it, you switch it in, get one powerful special attack off, and then hope it learns like Helping Hand or something, and
that would be strong. Two things I want to talk about, because I've not been here yet.
Go for it.
Are Komala and Tapu Koko.
Alright.
Starting off with Komala, which was one of the first Pokemon revealed, the little thing that can only be put to sleep.
Yep.
That has potentially quite large implications. Because it's basically, you can't burn it. Well, if it's got an evolution with a high attack stat, which it kind of looks like it might, judging by its just general what it looks like, that's pretty huge, because you can't paralyze it, stop it in its tracks. You can't burn it, stop its damage output. You can only put it to sleep, and that would cause a rise in the usage of things like Amoonguss, Breloom, and Smeargle. Yeah.
Very valid. I wasn't really honestly thinking about its evolution, but now that I think, because I was just looking at, the little Pokemon with the cute ability, oh, it can only be put to sleep, how cute. But that's going to be actually terrifying if it evolves into something with high stats. I didn't really think about that.
It kind of reminds me of Slackoth in its design. I'm thinking it might be a watered down version of Slaking.
Could be.
And after that, so much potential for Tapu Koko. Electric Fairy, not unique typing, we have Dead End before it, which everyone seems to forget.
Yeah, Dedenne is a little bit of a... Honestly, I like Dedenne. I think its move pull is awesome. I think its ability is awesome. Its concept is fantastic. It just doesn't have the stats to work in really any tier.
Yeah, but the electric terrain from Tapu Koko and probably the legendary stats, probably 580 base stat total, I'm going to assume. So much potential. It looks like it's going to be a fast special attacker because electric types traditionally have high speed.
Yep.
And fairies and electric types also traditionally have high special attack.
Yes.
So I'm thinking it's going to be very similar in stat line to something like Thunderous, either form of Thunderous.
Yeah, I agree with that.
In which case, it's going to be quite a powerhouse with the 50% boost. We know it doesn't levitate or anything because it lacks a flying type, any kind of flying type, or it lacks the ability to levitate because its ability sets the electric terrain.
Yep.
So it's going to be hitting like a truck, but it just shuts down Smeargle entirely.
Yes, because
and for that matter,
electric terrain does
Bruxish when
prevent
paired
sleep,
with it.
yes.
Yeah. Which I think is a godsend because I hate Smeargle more than many things I'm not even going to mention here.
Most VGC players do, so.
Yeah, I really, really hate Smeargle. I've always kind of built a great team and gone, yeah, oh, I have no answer to Smeargle. And then when I do build a team with answers to Smeargle, it's trashed here.
What are you talking about? Smeargle is fun and healthy for the meta.
But yeah, I'm just going to use this all the time, especially with hyper training, because I can guarantee it'll be good.
What do you think
That's
about...
like my first testing priority. Number one is this. Tapu Koko, shut down the Smeargles, go away, get out of my life, I'm divorcing you.
What do you think about discharge spam with the electric terrain passive? Do you think that's going to be a thing?
It depends on partners.
Because
Perhaps Raichu with Fake Out, Lightning Rod. Oh God, Mega Sceptile.
Yeah.
Just imagine that combo, the two of them together at the same time. You've got the Lightning Rod for Mega Sceptile. It's already got a huge speed and special attack stat, so it hits like a truck already. But now you're boosting it, and because it's grounded, it doesn't. Oh my.
Yeah.
No, it's disgusting.
I like it. I think it'll be good. Also, another thing with discharge is if you pair it with soak, you can get like a scarfed lantern to spam soak and stuff, and then turn it water type, and then hit super effective with discharge.
Yeah, Lantern was my second What's Viral Wednesday post.
Also, what works is Seeking. Scarfed Seeking can also do that. It is a
Yeah,
little bit
I do
faster
think
than
Lantern's
Lantern,
better.
but less bulky.
Yeah, I think Lantern's better for that.
Absolutely. Also,
covered it in
Lantern
detail.
does get Volt Absorb, so you heal it up every time you hit discharge.
Yeah, I think that's much better.
Seeking gets Lightning Rod, so
Yep.
don't,
So it's
discount Lightning Rod.
Oh, I don't. I did a whole
But
video
it's a
on that
physical
strategy.
attacker.
Well, if it's Scarfed Soak, then it's not attacking at all. But it is immune to the discharge.
Yeah, I guess. Well, they're both. I'd go Lantern.
I also prefer Lantern.
Moving on, because we might as well cover all of these.
Yes.
Beware.
Beware the bear.
Everyone's favourite something bear. I love it. I think its design is really cute and adorable, and I did not think the same thing everyone else did when they first saw it. I really, really like it. I love the little story behind it of don't catch it because it will crush you. I joked with some friends about you'll catch one, it will try to hug you, and you immediately get a game over screen and have to start over. It's again one of those stat dependent things. I do like its typing because its typing is one of the main reasons why Mega Lopunny is one of my favourite megas. Although Scrappy is a big part of that.
Yeah, but its ability isn't too shabby at all.
No.
It doesn't get Scrappy, but it does get Fluffy.
Yeah, it's kind of like Furfru, another thing I covered, ironically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like its ability, and I don't really care about the fire weakness it basically gains. Oh yeah, so you take double damage from fire. We
I
haven't
like to
seen
think
any
of the
drought ones
passive
yet.
as kind of half turns into Ferrothorn for its passive.
Yeah, kind of.
Gets defensive stats and gets murdered by fire.
Yeah, I can see that, but we haven't seen any drought setters, which means we haven't seen Mega Charizard Y, which was the main thing in VGC 2014 for setting Sun. And 15 for that matter. And because we're not seeing that, that means Sun boosted attacks on this so far, the time of recording, don't look likely.
Yeah.
So that fire weakness might not actually matter too much. Like we've seen one fire type, pretty much, and that's Litten and its line.
Yeah.
Which obviously it's going to have evolutions because it's a
I mean,
starter.
I'm sure there will be other fire types, but they just haven't been revealed yet.
Yeah, and that doesn't even take into account their viability in VGC.
Mm-hmm. And even that's not a given. You remember Sinnoh? No fire types, with the exception of Magmortar. And the starters.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. I didn't think of it that way. There's another thing I just threw an Assault Vest on, though. Take half damage from physical attacks. Assault Vest, just like I did with Furfrou.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I love Assault Vest so much. There's a reason why I put it on NT.
I can tell.
Broke, anything to say about Beware?
I haven't looked at it a whole lot. I really don't know.
It hard counters Kangaskhan.
Basically, it's a Pangoro mixed with a Ferrothorn given Megalopone's typing.
Okay,
I like it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Thumbs up from me.
All right, any other new Pokemon to talk about, or should we move on?
I guess Mimikyu, because everyone loves it.
I adore Mimikyu, but yeah, tell me about it. Do you think it'd be any good at all in doubles? Maybe not even VGC, but just doubles in general? Getting a free substitute?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Anything that, because it forces a double target. If it has any sort of good support moves at all, because
I can think of a few ghost types that get Trick Room.
I'm just hazarding a guess that it just doesn't look like it's going to have very much offensive presence, but like it forces your opponent to attack it, which is really strong, you know.
Yeah, there's a reason why people use so much redirection. Not so much this year, but last year it was huge.
So yeah, like if you can bait your opponent into attacking this thing and like you protect when they double into it, that's going to be a great way to buy yourself a free turn. It's going to be really strong.
There's also the possibility that because basically for the first hit the disguise is taking the hit, it blocks flinching from fake out. So Scrappy Kangaskhan's trying to flinch it, assuming it can set up Trick Room and tries to, it may not even flinch because it might actually behave like a substitute.
Yeah, I think there are some still questions on what kind of substitute it actually is. Not everything has been answered about that.
Yeah, we can only speculate here, but that might be a thing that happens, which I think would play a big part in its viability. If you can't flinch it with Fake Out, even through Scrappy, then perhaps, yeah, it could be used.
Also, I would like to point out, actually, as a little bit of a transition to 1v1, Mimikyu in 1v1, I mentioned this last time, but I was thinking about this a lot more, and I was thinking about what sets it could possibly use, and I realized it's a ghost type, and a lot of ghost types get Disable, and that means if you bring it with Disable, that shuts down literally every single choiced Pokemon in 1v1.
Oh god, that's beautiful.
That actually is beautiful. I love it.
I was thinking, like, there are so many things that run choice in 1v1. You've got your Scarfed Porygons, your Specs Greninjas, your Banded Crustles, all kinds of Banded things. Actually, though, Crustle and Rhyperior would get through the sub with Rock Blast, so that doesn't count. Ignore that. But for the most part, it really shuts down choice item users. And additionally, if it gets the move Endure, you could potentially run an Endure Custap set and get 2 attacks off with 0 risk involved. Because you could shoot 1 off and let your opponent break your sub, and then Endure, get knocked down to 1 HP, and then Custap get priority on your next move, and you could essentially hit 2 moves no matter what. And as for offensive moves, it is Fairy Ghost typing, which is awesome. And my speculation is that it gets Moonblast and Shadow Ball, which is very strong coverage.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Time for me to start playing 1v1 and learning how to use Disable well.
And speaking of 1v1, I recently topped the ladder, but I was also knocked back down, unfortunately. However, what I can do right now is play a game and see if I can win one and get that top spot back. Let me just go ahead and I will actually start recording in Bandicam and see if I can find a match. In the meantime, have you guys ever had a lot of experience with 1v1?
So I played in the Flash Clash. I actually spent a lot of time on Showdown, top the ladder there several times. Seems like I'd wake up and it'd be third or fourth and have to play some more. So that was a little different from Smoke on 1v1. They had it was bring 6, choose 1. Megas were banned, and I think that was it. Like,
yeah, and that did change up the meta a lot from what 1v1 is. All right, so I did find this match, and here it's against Frost Dexterity. Can you find me on Showdown, or do I have to figure out how to send you this link?
I can do that.
All right.
I found the game, I think. Oh wait, no, that game's ended.
All right, so this guy, I've actually fought this guy a lot, and I'm gonna go Mawile against him. Oh no, he brought his Garchomp. I think I lose actually. He should one-shot me with Earthquake. So that sucks. That means I just went way down. Well, okay, that's the end of my hopes and dreams. Okay, no longer number 1 spot. I guess I'll try and climb back up later. But for the podcast, let's go ahead and move on. For VGC, Strategic, you are one of the most interesting team builders when it comes to VGC. You've done stuff with Wobb and Milotic?
Yeah, I have. Quite recently, actually. I made a post today, which will probably link somewhere, I guess.
Yes, it'll be linked in the description.
Okay, good. So I've been playing around with VGC 2015, so last year's format, a little bit, and VGC 2016 for the Stunfisk tournament. And in doing so, I've come up with 2 crazy sets. One of which is a Milotic set using very bulky investment, as opposed to the rather offensive investment most Milotics use. Of course, I'm using the typical competitive set, but I'm running a Keyberry, and instead of Ice Beam, I'm running Icy Wind, and instead of Protect, I'm running Mirror Coat. The details on the exact EV spread, if you're interested, again, will be in the post, with a replay of me doing pretty nice things with it. The basic purpose of it is the 2 biggest threats to Milotic, I find, are Zapdos and Thundurus. So, instead of letting them just kind of beat me by hitting me twice, I EV to survive fully invested, modest, life orb boosted Thunderbolts from both of them. They have the same special attack stat, so it doesn't matter, with like 1 HP or something. And then I immediately KO them back with Mirror Coat, so I have a better matchup there. But as well, I also survive with defensive investment a double edge from an Adamant Mega Kangaskhan. So it's quite physically bulky as well. The Keyberry procs on taking physical damage, any physical damage, so I'll switch it into a Rock Slide from Scarf T-Tar or whatever, or Predicted Fake Out. Get a free +1 defense, and then it's really bulky. You can't really hit it as hard specially as most Milotic, because I've invested so hard. As for physical defense, well, that's the weaker defense of Milotic. Now that I've got the +1, it's actually probably about the same as my special defense in the end. So I make the most of the bulkier Milotic with Recover, and then it's kind of a bigger threat, because it's still +2 special attack if you proc the competitive with an Intimidate. And so it provides enough damage, but is bulkier than most, which is generally how I build my Suicune as well. I use a weird Calm Mind rest set, which I didn't cover here. And I've been having quite a lot of success with this Milotic set. Most people go, oh, I'll just use my Zapdos, Thunderbolt. Oh, I did 75%, and I just got one shot. Basically what happens.
Very nice.
And I've been using a Wobb as well in VGC 2016, so this year, and with Worlds coming up, maybe a competitor will listen in and go, this is a great idea, I'm going to bring it and win the whole thing, and I'll be amazing.
If someone brings Boba Fett, that'd be beautiful, honestly.
It'd be like the Pachirisu of this year. So Boba Fett, people just kind of look at it and go, "What? Who uses Boba Fett? It's trash."
I know,
And then
every
they
time
failed.
I see Boba Fett, I'm like, what?
Yeah, exactly. And then because it's got such huge HP, okay, it's not Chansey levels of HP, but it's still pretty big. And pretty low defenses. People kind of forget how much punishment it can take. So I've EV'd mine to take a fully invested, full HP water spout in rain from Primal Kyogre on the special defensive side, and again Kangaskhan Adamant Double Edge on the physical defensive side, which also allows it to survive Primal Groudon's Precipice Blades. And because Primal Groudon has lower special attack than Primal Kyogre, by extension, in surviving Kyogre's Water Spout, also survive Groudon's Eruption. Basically, you predict what your opponent's going to do, press either Kanto or Miracle and one-shot their Primal, and then they're wondering, wait, what? Wait, what? And I have had a few times where I've just completely destroyed someone because their Primals decided, oh, I'm going to hit this Boba Fett. Oops.
And,
so I can survive a lot of attacks. However, I'm running Encore and Destiny Bond. So when I'm against Xerneas, I can Encore the Xerneas into Geomancy, and then it can't do anything, but it can't switch out because I'm running Shadow Tag on Boba Fett. So it's
I
just
like
dead weight.
it. I didn't even think about that part.
Yeah. Also, because of Shadow Tag, let's say your opponent is running a Groudon, their Groudon's on the field. Switching your Kyogre while keeping Boba Fett out, they can't switch out their Groudon, and you've got Rain up. So now you have weather control and they can't get rid of their Groudon to switch it back in later.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot.
And lastly,
yeah,
I'm not done yet. This is like multiple layers of beautiful Boba Fett cake. I've got Custard Berry.
Yes.
So when
I
it
was just
drops
about to ask
below,
about that.
yeah, when it drops below 25% HP, you know, nothing happens initially. They just go, yeah, I've hit it below 25% and I'm going to take it out this turn. Well, the following turn, the Custard Berry procs, giving my next attack priority. Destiny Bond. So let's just pretend I've one-shot their Primal Groudon. Now their Salamence goes to finish it off. And then suddenly I surprise them with Custap at the start of the turn. Destiny Bond that turn, before their Salamence attacks me. And their Salamence finishes off Boba Fett with like a Hyper Voice and then goes down. So now my novelty Pokemon they were laughing at just traded 2 for 1. And then now I've got a massive momentum swing. Huge momentum swing. Where I've got 3 left, they've got 2. So now they can't pull any switches or anything. So if one of their primals is left, I can now switch in mine and have absolute weather advantage.
I like
so,
it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
It has potential, but is very, very skill dependent. If you as a player using Boba Fett don't make the right predicts, because you're not like really, really good like me. I like to think I'm good, but I'm not like world's winner or anything. So yeah, if you make mistakes, it punishes you really hard for it. And equally, if your opponent predicts what you're trying to do, and then they out-predict or outplay you, Boba Fett also kind of screws you over. So it's very high risk, but equally high reward.
All right, I really, really like that strategy. Actually, I am a huge lover of gimmicky strategies. It's what my YouTube channel is all about, and I don't play a whole lot of VGC, but I think I would definitely try that out. Do you have like a very particular EV spread that you use to survive both Precipice Blades and Origin Pulse?
Yeah, so again, the EV spread is in the post, so if you do visit it, there it is. But as it's not very complicated, I can just simply read it out as being 244 HP, 156 defense, and 108 special defense with a boosting nature.
All right. And yep, that'll all of that stuff will be linked in the description to the Reddit post on that you just posted earlier today, right?
Yeah, I did it earlier today so that I could go on the post and read the EV spreads out without having to go on Showdown and go, where's my team again?
Clever. I like it. Okay, so if that's the end of that topic, we can talk about an OU team that was recently put up on our Stunfisk, which was the Mega Pinsir balance team by how do you pronounce that name?
Dude, I have no idea.
It's Njyankfan. He said he was like a 1200s player, made this team, and brought it up to top 50 or something.
Yeah, he did really well. He was what did he get up to, like 1950 or something absurd, like just really good.
The top of his Stunfisk post says 27th place on ladder with proof.
Dang, there we go. So that team will also be linked in the description. I can pull it up right now on Showdown so I can take a look. Because I played with it, and so did Broke. And we're not as good as our man Njyankfan. But
oh yeah, I'm hot garbage.
we both found success with it, and it's a very, very interesting team. What it is Mega Pinsir, Jolly, and then it's got Frustration, Quick Attack, Close Combat, Sword Stance. So relatively standard Pinsir, but the team that goes with it is very interesting. He has a specially defensive Excadrill with as a rapid spinner, since Pinsir is so Stealth Rock weak. A standard Rotom Wash defensive spread with Hydro, Willow, Volt Switch, and Pain Split. His own rocker with Landorus, also a defensive spread. And then he is using a Specs Volcanion.
Which is absurdly strong. It's so powerful.
Is very, very strong right now. And his last Pokemon is a Calm Mind, Soft-Boiled Moonblast Thunderwave Clefable with Magic Guard. And the team just works together so beautifully. It'll be in the description. If you want to try it out, I would highly recommend it, because this team is it's a very, very strong balance team. If you like playing balance, this is something to try out. Take it, maybe make some changes that you're more comfortable with or something. But by itself, this has a very strong archetype, and it's very effective. What were your thoughts playing with this? Broke?
So I'm garbage at singles. I'll start off by saying that. I'll see these teams, and most people would be like, oh, well, I don't really need to get rocks up against them, so, I wind up using Landorus incorrectly a lot. I'm just like, oh, I'll just lead it, get rocks, and let it die. But it kind of seems like it works better if you keep your Landorus alive a little bit longer to cycle some Intimidates and use that Volt Turn Core with Rotom, which I really like, because it's very straightforward. I'm like, okay, I just Volt Switch here, and then no matter what they do, I bring out something to counter if they switch out or whatever.
Yeah, it's also worth noting that Volt Switch, or Volt Turn, works incredibly well with setup sweepers like Mega Pinsir, because it means that on faster threats, or not faster threats, but things that outspeed Rotom and Landorus, you can essentially take a hit and bring in Pinsir for free, which means that you have full HP to set up a Sword Stance and start sweeping with Frustration, Close Combat, and Quick Attack.
Yeah, it's really cool. You U-turn out because you've got a slow Landorus, so you take the hit, survive it, U-turn out, and then bring Pinsir in on something that you threaten with Pinsir. So it forces them out, you get a Swords Dance, and now, I think after a dance it hits like 840 attack or something, just gross.
Some quick notes about Mega Pinsir. It has base 105 speed, which is an amazing thing to have in OU, because it gets past all the base 100s, especially with that Jolly nature. And its move pool, it's got, of course, Aerialate, meaning that Frustration is flying type, 102 base power, and just destroys things. Frustration and Return are essentially the exact same thing, so it doesn't really matter which one you use. Quick Attack can be substituted for Feint, which is actually a little bit less powerful but has higher priority. It outspeeds Extreme Speed, for example, so it'll go before
Speed ties Extreme Speed. Are there any fast Extreme Speed users in OU? I don't even know, because they're both +2 priority.
Yeah, you're right, actually. Let me check real quick. Dragonite is only base 80, so yes, it does outspeed Dragonite, which is very significant for a for a sweeper. Close combat could be substituted out for Earthquake if you wanted. It also hits those pesky rock and steel types that don't take any damage from your flying type moves. So yeah, very, very powerful sweeper. I think it's underrated in OU. I think not enough people use it. And also, as one final note on Pinsir, there is actually a bulk up set that works extremely well. Because this thing with a defensive stat boost can actually take hits and deal out so much damage. It's not even fun, or not even fair, because 1 sword stance or 2 bulk ups plus 2 means you can sweep basically the entire tier. It's terrifying.
Yeah, the thing hits really hard. I mean...
Yeah. Moving on, reminder about the Shaman event. Broke, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, so, as you may or may not know, Pokemon's celebrating its 20th anniversary this year, and so they've been doing a, giveaway every month of a different, legendary Pokemon, just as like a way to celebrate, really. So right now, if you connect to the GTS, you'll be able to get a Shaman, download it via mystery gift. So don't forget to do that, because that's kind of cool.
I need to do it right now.
And then also...
I completely forgot.
Yeah, also similarly, Broke, there was also the other thing for Stunfisk. r/Stunfisk, the competitive Pokemon subreddit, has recently announced their approved submitters thing, so can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, so for the longest time, our requirements for being an approved submitter has been having 7 posts to the subreddit, you know, like team analysis, Pokemon analysis, or whatever. Which was a fine requirement. There was nothing wrong with it, but we found that there are a lot of users who are very active in the sub and have given a lot of good advice to people, but they don't necessarily make their own original posts. They just reply in comments. So what we did, we just kind of looked at like all the things that people are doing, and we added a couple new approved submitters. We feel like it's going to help us get ready for new people coming into the game with Sun and Moon coming out. So I think we added 4 recently. There will probably be more in the near-ish future. Because we were looking at like people who replied in the question and answer thread, which is a really great thread if you're new to Pokemon, to come hang out, ask any small questions you have. There's a lot of really good users who patrol that thing and get out the information that you need to know. But yeah, that's really about it.
For anyone that doesn't know, what is the difference between an approved submitter and just a regular submitter?
So, the approved submitters, we ask them questions and stuff before making any big changes to the sub. So like policy change and stuff like that. And also, so they get around some Reddit filters that, like, if you post 4 comments in 5 minutes, Reddit usually blocks you for a little bit and makes you wait. So being an approved submitter lets you around that. It also comes with a little fancy flare next to your name, so people know when you reply to them that you're an approved submitter. So we kind of use that as like a badge of approval of sorts that says this guy gives quality advice, you know, you should listen to them, they can help you out a lot.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. Okay, so moving on to our very last topic. StratMag, you had some speculations on Pokemon Go. Would you like to share those?
Yeah, so I've heard some rumors around about the possibility of Pokemon Go interacting with Sun and Moon. So as we know, we can use Pokemon Bank to transfer our Pokemon from previous generations to whatever we're on, and we also know from Nintendo announcing it that Sun and Moon will be compatible with Pokemon Bank, so we can transfer everything we've bred and so on Generation 6 to Generation 7. And this leads to the possibility of interaction with Pokemon Go. And this has some particular implications, potentially. of maybe abilities or moves or whatever of Pokemon in Pokemon Go that are exclusive to Pokemon Go that you cannot normally get in Sun and Moon. So I'm going to make up a random example here. Let's pretend you can use Zapdos in VGC 2017. And Zapdos normally can't get Tailwind because there's no move tutor, assuming there isn't, like there wasn't in X and Y.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Tailwind's a pretty good move, especially for VGC, where you've got doubles wide speed control, and it's just great in general. And that was a big part of why Zapdos was used in 2015, for example. So if Tailwind is only available on Zapdos in Pokemon Go, then that would lead to people without access to Pokemon Go, probably people in the junior side of VGC who might have to rely on their parents because they're too young. Or people like me who can only access free Wi-Fi, so in public places and at home, and can't just go roaming around catching Pokemon. I'm still like level 2 after the game released a week and a half ago. So that means some people could actually potentially be at a competitive disadvantage compared to others, especially between the age divisions within the VGC competition, because of access to Pokemon Go and places where they can catch these Pokemon. And it also depends on proximity. I live in the southwest. What if the only Zapdos in the country is in Scotland?
Yeah, that is kind
Not
of an
many
interesting
people,
thing
yeah.
to think about. I mean, there will always be trading, so you can you should be able to get Pokemon no matter where you are, if this is the case. But yeah, that is a very interesting thing to think about. If the two games are connected, will playing Go actually get you stuff that you couldn't normally get?
Yeah, imagine if Kangaskhan could only get Double Edge through Pokemon Go. How would that change its usage if it could only use Return?
That'd be very interesting.
Personally, I hope they don't do it. Just for, accessibility's sake, really. But I have been reading that they're looking for ways to kind of cross-play a little bit, and I don't blame them because that's going to sell more copies of the game. But I would just prefer if, the games were entirely self-contained and you didn't have to jump through a whole bunch of hoops to stay competitive.
Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from. And I think that they are also kind of removing those hoops to jump through, like you said, with the new hyper training, making it so that it's easier to get legendaries. So I think they are trying to lower the entry floor for competitive, and I think that's definitely a good thing. I think this kind of goes in the other direction a little bit, but it's not confirmed. It is speculation. Yeah, anything else to add?
That's all for me today.
Right.
I don't have much else to add either, I don't think.
All right. In that case, that wraps up all of our topics, and that wraps up our episode. So thank you so much to Broke, Stupid, Lonely, and Strategic Magic for joining me on this episode of the FormCast. You guys want to do some sort of outro? Go for it.
I don't know. If you're not already subscribed to Stunfisk, there's good content there all the time.
Yes, can confirm.
Also can confirm. Definitely not biased approved submitter or anything. Definitely not.
All right, so that'll be all for this episode. Thank you so much for listening, and make sure to tune in next time.